I want to talk to you in this video about exercises and studies, the difference between them and why one can complement the other. I also want to try and show you how you are going to be able to come up with your own little exercises in some music that you might have found a little bit trickier, a little bit more difficult, and how that exercise could then help you learn a certain piece of music a little bit better. So what is the difference between an exercise and a study, and how are the two things linked? In my opinion, an exercise is a short snippet of music that could be repeated over certain patterns. A study would then implement an exercise and extend it in a more musical way. And I've got some examples here to show you to distinguish between an exercise and a study, and how you can then maybe dedicate a certain part of your practice sessions to either exercises or studies, and how the two things can help your playing. So I have here a saxophone exercise book from Russia, 158 saxophone exercises, and I'm just going to open it up on a random page, and you can see there that the exercises here, as I said, they're just short snippets of music that are repeated. You can see it doesn't look that musical. It looks like it's something that would be a technical exercise to give you a better understanding of a certain finger position. Sometimes it's focused on some sort of articulation, sometimes it's focused on some sort of dynamic range. That's what I class as an exercise, and this book shows it quite clearly that it's a short snippet of music. As you can see, they're only quite short. There tends to be 2 or 3 on a page there. Let's now look quickly at how those exercises can be implemented within a study. Now remember, a study, I think, is a more musical piece of music. It's something that might be able to be included within a performance or an exam. I've got in my hands here the Furling studies for the saxophone as transcribed by Marcel Mule. I'm just going to open it up on this page here. If you can see there, number 8, I think you can see quite clearly that the whole point of that study is this articulation, the 3 slurred and then the staccato repeated notes, and you see that as a theme all the way through that study there. If we were looking at an exercise that might help with that, it might be something that is all focused on staccato repeated notes, or that certain articulation when it comes to playing a scale. Implementing that then into a piece of music is what I see a study as. So those 2 examples there were more classical. Now I've got this book in my hands, Creative Saxophone. It's a book I only discovered a couple of years ago actually, but I've been using it a lot in my teaching because I think the things in it are very, very useful. I'm just going to open up on this page here, and you can see how this is being presented as, on one side of the page we've got more exercise based things. You can see there we've got 4 or 5 different exercises on triplets, and the whole point is that we're getting used to what swing quavers would sound like. And then on the other page we have some more study based music. You can see a couple of studies there that implement what we've learned on the exercise side of the page. So this book demonstrates really, really well how exercises can directly be linked to a study. And again, it just shows the difference between an exercise on this side and a study on this side, and how, as I've said, how the two things can be linked together, how an exercise can help you more successfully than play a study. The final book I want to show you is this one, Holy Moly. And again, we're looking at this book, and it does try and link the two things together, the exercises and the studies. So this here is, I would say, an exercise page. We can see that it's outlining some chordal notes of this piece that we're going to play within the study. Gives you a few things to play through just to get used to the kind of feel and the kind of thing that you're going to be aiming for within this study. And here is the study. Looks very, very different than the exercise. First thing that you should be able to see is that it's a lot longer. As we've said, that exercises are then implemented into a study that are usually a little bit longer. But we can hear how the two things are linked together. We've got our exercises on one page, a little bit of a description about what you want to be looking for, what you want to be feeling within that exercise, and then it's directly linked to a study. So the things that you're learning in that exercise, the real microscope that you put in over your technique on a certain area of the instrument, then is supported and developed in some sort of study. And as I've said, the two things joined together are what are the important things. So what I would say is, in your practice session, try to link up an exercise directly with a study. Some books do it for you. Some books, like the classical ones I showed you, the study is more there on its own, and you need to pick out the little bits. You need to pick out, well, what is it that I'm looking for here? Oh, it's this semiquaver movement, it's this certain articulation, it's this certain tonguing technique. That is what I'm after. Pull that out, and maybe even create your own exercises that will complement your work on that study. I want to give you an example now of a study and what I'm going to get out of it to form my own exercises. And I'm going to be playing this one here, the one with all the semiquavers. A lot about this study is the staccatos, the articulation, the movement, possibly even some key things. But let's have a play of the first few bars of it and just see what it's all about. So that for me is all about E minor. It's all about this articulation of 3 slurred, 1 tongued. That's the opening phrase. We've also got this little bit here, the slurred down 2 tongue. That certainly needs a little bit of work. And we've got other little sections throughout the piece that have that as well. So it just keeps coming back. So it's that I want to try and focus on now. So how can I create my own little exercise that's going to help with that? Well, why not just pull one of those bars out? And I'm going to choose one of those bars where, in fact, I'm going to do that one. So it was bar 3 where I wasn't really too happy about that. And I feel like I need to work on that. And it's that articulation. It's 2 slurred, 2 tongued. And it's moving over the break of the instrument. I've got my pivot note, I like to call it, where I'm constantly going down to the B. I'm just going to look at that and just repeat that as a little exercise. So I'm just going to pick just the first beat, and I'm going to repeat that until I'm really comfortable with it. Just the second beat. Still not happy with that jump down from the G to the B. All of these things I'm discovering through forming a little exercise from a study. Next beat. Again, it's that jump down to the B that I'm still not quite happy with. The next beat. Yeah, some really bum notes in there. So I will work on that as a little exercise, then put it back into the study. I now want to give a jazz example. So I've changed my setup. I've got my D'Addario Select Jazz mouthpiece on, and I'm going to play a couple of exercises and then play the study that is supported to play. So you can start to see the link between them. These are actually written down for me. I'm playing out of the Creative Saxophone book. I've got the exercises on one page and the studies on another. I'm going to play through a couple of the exercises and then play one of these studies. So this is obviously all about triplets and turning that into a swing feel. Let's play the second exercise and see where it heads now. And now let's have a listen to the study that goes along with these exercises. So you can hear that the whole thing there is this swing feel from the triplets. Hopefully this video has given you a little insight into the difference between exercises and studies, but how the two things are very closely linked. I've given you an example there of a classical study and me, myself, creating my own exercises out of that study to help me play it better. And I've also given you an example of a book that has some exercises that are directly linked to some studies that are on the same page, basically. So go away, have fun at creating your own exercises, and hopefully bring those two things together in your practice session, because they are there to support each other. Don't see exercises and studies as something separate. They must be played together. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've found something useful in it. If you have, then please like, subscribe, comment below. It's always great to listen to what you've got to say about these videos, and hopefully it'll help us steer them in the right direction for the future. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.